Welcome back, y'all, to another episode of Hip Hop Babies.
Yes, sir. Ski.
Boom, 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 boom. We back. I don't know what it is, man. We back with another album review. Before I get into that, Ray, how you been doing, bro? How's your mentals, bro? You really just gotta take a second to appreciate,
Take the time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hey, man. It's been all right. It's been good.
Really, bro? Really?
Mm-hmm.
Not for everybody, bro. According to Isaiah, bro, it's been awful, bro. It's been awful. We back. We here to talk about how shit this is, bro. No. We here to talk about this shit. That's what I meant to say. Dude, Isaiah back after 5 years. Did you see this coming anywhere? Did you think it was about time?
Yeah, man. Isaiah Rashad. He's an artist that's pretty open with the way he's feeling. With what's been going on. Even with The House is Burning, right? I mean, that was a comeback album after a few years.
Yeah.
It's been a long time. There's been no singles, barely any features. And it's been a whole bunch of stuff that happened leading up to this. You know, he had that whole leak. Getting into this album, he talks about his grandma passing away after that happened. Basically, a whole bunch of stuff. It just seems like it's more battles for him to face, right? Because after The House is Burning, it was kind of like, oh, well, you know, it's still in a shaky place. But I got some bangers for you. This wasn't that. Still a shaky place. I ain't got much bangers for you. I got vibes and I got emotions. You got to fill it out on this one, right?
Yeah, I will say that. Yeah, you definitely, there's a lot of emotions to be felt. But have we ever really gotten a clear picture into Isaiah's mind? I don't think so. It's always been a little foggy, a little veiled, and complex, I would say. And I think that that's kind of one of his strengths. And, a lot of artists try to do the mysterious grift, but it's not really a grift when you're like a complicated person and you have a lot of different things to talk about, a lot of different things that happened in your life. That's really what makes him so compelling. So every time we get an album, it's really just like a little picture into his life. How much are we getting? That's, each album. This one, it's been awful. You know what? That's not something that he hasn't said before. I feel like every time he comes back to drop an album, he's always got to, mention, hey, I have a life. And that's something that we all forget, I feel like, a little bit. We all definitely can be a little consumerist and just want to, consume the music and not really think about the stuff that went into it. And that's why you need a little bit of time, especially with this one. You need a little bit of time.
Because with this album, I mean, if you thought The House is Burning didn't really have much upbeatness to it, which I don't know. I feel like there was a good mixture on that album. This one has less of it. Barely any features, which, considering how long it took Isaiah Rashad to make this album, makes sense, right? Let him say what he has to say. Let him get out what he has to get out. But I will say that even as a fan, as someone who was waiting for this album at first listen, it was a lot. You can tell it's been awful. I mean, it was a lot to listen to this. I was trying to listen to it with my AirPods. And it was like, whoa, like this is like an interesting experience. But as I kept listening, I put on my big over-ear headphones. And it definitely gave it, I think, what it needed. I think this album is definitely a feel-out album. It's definitely something you listen to when you are in the zone. You put on your headphones, you listen to it. You might be able to bump this album. You might be able to slap some of this. But really, I feel like this is really an introspective, personal, kind of like a comeback album. Kind of you put this on when you're thinking about things. But I love it for that. I mean, it took me a minute because I feel like Isaiah's good at mixing things up. And this is the first time where he's kept it pretty consistent. Besides Sylvia demo, but that was an EP, a little shorter. This is the first time since then where I feel like he kind of put me back in that headspace fully. And it was like not too much, but I can't just listen to this all the time. I'm going to keep it real with you. It's a lot to listen to all the time. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like M.O.M, Man on a Mission.
Man on a Mission. Yep.
I think you could listen to that at any time. Motivational flow. I feel like he's like picking you up and like dragging you along. It's introspective, so like kind of like he's doing it to himself, right? You know, like picking himself up and being like, I still got to do all these things. I still got to live my life. There might be, you know, some shit going on, but I still got to do it. Same with same shit. You work, you be like, hey, what's up, man? Same shit. Another day in paradise. You know, that's one of my favorites. You got money on your mind. You know, you got goals on your mind. You got family on your mind. A bunch of things pulling you different ways. And I think that he just encapsulates it so well. You know, he's not giving up, but he looks at the reality of it. And sometimes it's bleak. The way he starts off this album starts off to me like a 10. Like a 10 out of 10. When we first getting into it, you know, and Boy in Red with SZA, that's like the radio song, you know, put that one on the radio. It's going to stay up there. It's going to be, you know, one of the ones we remember from this probably the most. Not from maybe the lyrical content, but like just the sound of it, you know, like his ability to create a catchy tune. One of the catchiest ones for me. And it sounds the best. Sometimes he does do a little too much singing on this project. We will get into that. But you know, this one he brought SZA in and she carried some load and it was really good.
It's a lot of singing on this. It's a lot of moody talking on this. You know, sometimes he's not even really rapping. It's almost like he's talking to you. And I'm fine with that. I think with me personally, this album reminded me of when I used to be around certain people. Okay. And, you know, they were talking to me about certain things or, you know, certain things were happening. And it's one of those things where, like, same shit, right? That was a good single. That was a great single. I really like that single, especially when I listen to it within the album. But that is not a happy song. You know what I'm saying? That is not a happy song. And some of this album, that might be why, for me personally, it wasn't the easiest to listen to. It kind of reminded me of when I was talking to people going through certain things. And you're just like, man, I don't even know how to express myself to kind of help you out. And I do think there's a level of that in this album. I mean, you know, especially considering that we know the context, right, of what happened since, you know, his last project. And I do think that he opened up about that. You know, he even said that with his former music, the way he talked about women, he kind of had to change that because, you know, he had to be open with himself. He had to be honest with himself. He was almost like forcing some of those old lines. And then on here with this album, he does change that. There's not really a lot of misogyny, if you want to call it that. There's not really a lot of like
objectification.
Yes, overly bragging, right? Just to fit in almost. Yeah. He's wearing it on his sleeve. And I do love that about this album. But listening to that sometimes is a lot. But when you listen to it and you kind of cipher through some of the raw emotions, it's a beautiful project in here. I do see what he was going for. Some of what he was trying to express. I mean, you go later into this album, Get to Know You, Ain't Giving Up, Scared to Look Down, which I thought was an amazing highlight. It's a lot of stuff about keep moving forward, even though things are testing you, expressing yourself to someone who might not understand what is fully going on. And I do think hearing it in this way, in the album form, did kind of have me like, whoa, you know? Isaiah Rashad being able to do that says something about the music he makes, because it was like, wow, like I didn't fully expect this, even though I did expect something deep with the album title. It's been awful, right? I mean, for everyone, there's been a lot going on with the economy, everything, right? But to hear him put that into his perspective and talk about what he's going through and make it relatable to others, I think is an amazing testament to the writer he is. No, he did say he tried to keep it simple, because Kendrick, I think he said specifically, like Kendrick at one point when they were doing songs together, when they were working together, Kendrick at one point said like, hey, you do a lot of cryptic writing, like people might not want to hear that. And I do think he did solve that on this album. It's really straightforward, but it's a lot going on here.
For sure. I definitely like the narrative. Starting it off like that, and then we get into, you know, SUPAFICIAL, which, you know, kind of draws into what you were talking about earlier, you know, and it's more about his relationship and saying, you know, I'm more than this rap shit. I'm more than, you know, whatever you think I am. You got to dig deeper, you know, and then as the listener, you're also actively digging deeper. And then the scared to look down, scared to self-reflect, scared to, you know, do these things, right? And then immediately leads into happy hour. He's getting drunk, he's buzzing and he's fending off,
Mm-hmm.
whatever he has. And then the immediate sober thought, do I look high? So like even with the titles, right? Like it still like kind of tells a story. I really like that. But the songs, the way they lead into each other, like it's really, really good.
Yes.
As far as like concept,
Mm-hmm.
and I think you're saying that too, but you're saying in practice, it feels like a lot. And especially because we've all been trauma dumped on before, and we've all had uncomfortable conversations with people, that we didn't necessarily want to have. But this feels like a good friend checking in, being like, it's been shit, bro.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then and you want to be there for them,
Yes.
and you want to be there for them. I could feel that emotion, and that's definitely not something that I had on my mind coming into this review, but it definitely, alters my perspective a little bit. I can definitely see where you're coming from.
I mean, you know me, man. I'm always, I wouldn't say I'm looking for something different, but I'm always looking for maybe what the artist is trying to put out there. And I do think, the more I listen to this, because we were like, hey, man, let's get into this. We took our time. We were going to maybe review it probably a week ago, but we were like, hold up. And I got more into the tracks, and I was like, man, like even the tracks I don't like Cameras with Dominic Fike, I do think they serve their purpose. Now I'm not going back to that, but when I do listen to this as a project, I do get a lot from it. Like I don't know if I'm gonna be adding a bunch of this to my playlist or like being like, hey, let me just slap this casually around people. But I do think that when you do listen to it as a project, this is a project. And I will say that Isaiah always gets props for that because, man, he knows how to put a project together because this project flowed from track 1 to the end. It
Definitely.
the interludes, the way he threw them in there sometimes. They were at the end of the tracks, whatever it was. It was dope. It was dope. And, man, sometimes I do wish that he was rapping, I would say, more on here, like he was on The House is Burning or The Sun's Tirade. But with this album, I understand why he wasn't. That wasn't the place for it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I do think that with it being far and few in between, how good he is. That is, they're exceptional highlights. Like we were talking about, Scared to Look Down, exceptional. SUPERPWRS when he's rapping on there, I think exceptional. And he's really good. But if that's not the time or place for it, that's cool too. I mean, rapping, especially with Isaiah's music, is like bragging and like upbeat and it's not always the most introspective. So I can see how the singing and the Dominic Fike feature can you would think it's a proven formula, but sometimes it falls a little flat, and that's okay. I mean, he tried, and I give him a lot of grace because he's one of my favorite artists. From TDE for sure. I mean, from Tennessee, I can't think of a better artist. Like he's just there. He's just him. So like you just got to kind of take him for what he is. Yeah, I'm vibing with it, and I agree with you. As in, this is a project, and I can like shuffle this all day, and like kind of get lost, and then like check back in when I'm ready to lend an ear, and I'm not overwhelmed,
Yeah.
But this album definitely does demand headphones to get the full experience. There's some tracks with some layers to it, some background vocals that I feel like, like SUPERFICIAL, I really think has like some really stunning layers to it, and like the background like xylophone, I don't know what it is. He was going crazy on that.
Mm-hmm.
Background vocals, like they were going crazy. It's worth an intentional listen, played in the background kind of listen too. I think it fits both ways.
Okay, because he has songs like 10 States Away where there was no hook. What's it called? Get to Know You, which I like. That was kind of like a highlight on me on first listen.
Okay.
And then Act Normal, which I thought was a really deep track. That was a moment where I was like, wow, talking about sexuality. He was exposed to some freaky shit at a young age. And he had to like act normal. That's what I'm saying. Like there's a lot of like moments where it's like, man, you're really opening up, talking about being exposed to things or, basically what led you, maybe what sort of trauma, what sort of things kind of like made you the man you are, what, maybe kind of led you to these situations, right? But I do think hearing that, especially as someone who's a casual listener, right? I think for someone who's like, maybe let me tap into Isaiah Rashad, this might throw them off, but I don't know. I've talked to some people and they've told me they really enjoyed this album. And I was surprised. I'm like, wow, as someone who might not really be into Isaiah Rashad's music, this might throw you off. But they were the opposite, right? Whereas like, man, now I kind of get this introduction to him and I kind of see him for him, especially considering what had happened, because they kind of knew about what had happened. So I was like, okay, you know, that's a cool way to look at it. And I do think you get that from this. And I do love that Isaiah gets to do that, because he's kind of in this weird state where he has a hardcore fan base, but people know of him. And I do think, you know, if he finds a way to connect those dots still, even with all this drama or whatever. It's not even drama at this point, but with all the nonsense, right? With all the noise, I think he can still do something. He knows how to connect with people. He knows how to make music for the heart. And this was another one of those, because I do enjoy this. Don't get it twisted. But that's how I talk about music, man. It's just, it's a lot on here. But I do think when you do sit through it, it's worth listening to get what you get out of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely say that, like, depending on like how you listen to music, like it'll affect you differently. You know, if you like listen to music and you're not like caring about the lyrics, right? And I think that's a benefit from this album, is that it's not hard on the ears at all. I just think that we're so fucking ADHD brain sometimes that there's a lot of space on this album, and he gives a lot of time to breathe. And I think that it lets you sit with thoughts and lets you sit with lyrics. And sometimes sitting with thoughts is uncomfortable. And I think that kind of attributes a little bit to it, to making it not the easiest listen, in my opinion. So, because Isaiah, I mean, if you were following him back, you know, you were mentioning Sylvia demo earlier. I mean, yeah, he's got some stuff with his dad, you know, he's suppressing pain with drugs, you know, but like this album is like him like reflecting on that, like why? You know, as like a listener for a long time, you know, it's like, it's a great progression. Like his arc is still going, you know, and I think that, like you said, he's got the core fan base, but he can take off. And ultimately, that's what fan bases want hits for, you know, and like I make a lot of jokes. No bangers on here, right? But like I want more people to be into it. I want more people to latch on to the music, because I think it's that good. And I think that when you just come correct and you got, you know, the songs that gonna pop off, we can all talk about it. Like you said, a little bit more rapping, but a
little bit more. But I mean, for this type of moody album, I do see why he didn't do that, because it might have taken away from moments like I Ain't Giving Up, where you talk about, you know, doing drugs, having fun, but then struggling with the rehab, struggling with the stopping it, right? You ain't giving up this high. And again, that was a beautiful moment. I don't know, man. I feel like if you're someone who is also really struggling with, you know, it doesn't even have to be drugs. It could be dependence on a lover, dependence on, you know, people around you, or dependence on items. You know, this is an album maybe you could get some knowledge from, because he kind of goes over it in a way that, I mean, of course, we've heard other artists talk about their struggles with addiction, and even Isaiah himself, but he did it in a way that was really different on this album, I felt like, and I appreciate that. This is legit. It doesn't feel like he's just throwing something together to just like, oh, I'm sad and it's shit right now. No, this is real. It's been awful. And for everybody, to a certain degree, you know, it's been a lot going on. And I do think he wanted to put that into an album.
Honestly, though, like, if I get an uncomfortable perspective, like, I'm trying to listen to it. That's part of the reason why I'm listening to music in general, is to get perspectives that I may not be comfortable with, or I may not have realized. And I think that that is a superpower of his, if you will. He just got it. It's reasons why I like, you know, other conscious rappers. You know, it's just you just trying to gain more perspective on life, and you know, we all really just trying to figure this shit out at the end of the day. So shout out to Isaiah for helping people get through whatever they're getting through, and by, you know, sharing his experiences. And I'm sure that the tour is going to be beautiful, and there's going to be tons of people. He's like one of those artists where, you know, people come up to him and be like, you saved my life. It might sound corny a little bit, but he's one of those artists, you know?
Yeah, with this album, I can see that.
We just a couple unks, bro. I mean, imagine we listened to this when we were 16 or 17.
Hey,
you know, like,
for real.
Like when we heard like Sylvia demo, you know what I'm saying? Like,
but I will say Isaiah Rashad is growing with us, and I will say that also helps. Like I as someone who has been along for the journey, I do appreciate him being able to look at it from this perspective now. Like, this is totally way more mature than he was before. And I do give him a load of props for that because it was like, wow, you've grown a lot. This is grown man music, if anything. If people want to call music grown man or like this is old folk, like this is grown man music. You feel me? This ain't no club banger shit. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate that.
That's real, bro. When we were first introduced to him, he was around our age. We definitely grew with him, and I appreciate an artist that gets vulnerable and allows you to like peer in like that. You know, like I said, these are like snapshots of his perspective, and you just get to jump in just for a little bit. It's kind of greedy to tell people to drop. You know, like you don't really want that. You want the balance, and I'm not going to say 5 years is the perfect sweet spot. It's more just like let people live life before you ask for music. You're diluting the music at the end of the day. The more you make it a commodity and like a product, the less its value is. You know, economics 101, man. Lock in on this album and lock in because Ray is about to give us his top 3 tracks. Are you ready for that, bro?
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, my top 3. Number 1, I got M.O.M, Man on a Mission. I've been replaying that one. Number 2, I have Scared to Look Down. Scared to Look Down stood out to me on first listen and has still stayed on my mind. Repeated listen. So that's number 2. And then number 3, Get to Know You. What about you, DeadLeigh? What's your top 3?
So number 1, you know I got cameras on there, right? My number 1 is Superficial. I think Superficial is a great track. I just think that that's one of the tracks that really grabbed me the most and brought me back. So definitely give that one a listen. If you're shuffling this and you happen to land on SUPERPWRS, congratulations, you hit the jackpot. That's my number 2. It is a really good track. He is top tier MC on that track. He does a little singing shit, so get ready for that. But the rapping is great. And then the last one I got, I'm putting Boy in Red. My boy needs a pop hit. Taylor Swift can only have so long of a career. Let's get Boy in Red on number 1 in the charts, okay? Right, what are we talking about?
Yeah, I forgot
amazing.
that one damn near. I would have probably put that one. Not gonna lie.
You would have put Cameras, bro, if you remember that, bro.
All right, man.
Dominic Fike, we got so much smoke for you, bro. Take your ass back to Euphoria, bro.
For real.
For real. With that being said, thank y'all so much for checking out this video. If you haven't already, it's been awful on all streaming platforms. Isaiah Rashad, you are amazing. I'm sure that you're going to have an amazing tour. Can't wait. Probably going to be there. Can't wait to see what the merch looks like. Commodify. Yup. How much a dollar really costs? No, on purpose. Thank you to the listeners. If y'all haven't already, like, comment, subscribe. You know the drill, man. Show some support, bro. Show some love. We love you. Love us back. This is a two-way street. And shout out to Ray for being an amazing co-host. Always got the freshest perspective. Always makes me leave the video thinking something new. So hope y'all appreciate him as much as I do. And I'll pass it off to the...
Thanks, DeadLeigh. I appreciate you, man. I try. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, Isaiah Rashad. This was a dope listen. This was an enjoyable project. I appreciate this album. I appreciate all the work that was put into it as far as the beats, all the producers, all the engineering. Like, this didn't sound bad. It was an emotional album, but it was really focused. And I appreciate that because sometimes people make emotional albums and it's all over the place. It flowed, sounded good. It just was a lot. But I do think sometimes it's necessary to say a lot. And this was one of those times. So I appreciate you for that. To all the listeners, we appreciate you as well. And with that being said,
peace.
Peace.